All right, well, we're gonna toss the light talking mole rat for the sake of our well-being, and we're gonna move to this little back and forth between Mr. Rogan and his friend Brian Callen. Same topic, different approach.
Clusters of a lot of girls who are autistic.
Yes.
And let's get to the bottom
It's
of
like
that.
anorexia.
What's causing all that? How come 1 in every 12 kids who's a boy in California has autism now? Because that's what's going on. That's what's going on in California, which has one of the strictest fucking vaccine policies. 1 in 12. Did I say vaccines cause autism? Maybe I will have
Well, RFK's getting to that, yeah.
Yeah.
And now Florida doesn't demand vaccines
Yeah,
for kids.
that's dangerous to me.
Yeah.
Why is it dangerous? What do you mean? What's dangerous, Brian? That's dangerous to me. I don't know why. I can't tell you why it's dangerous, but I heard it's dangerous, and now I'm saying it's dangerous.
Knew you'd jump on that train.
Of course it's dangerous, Brian. What are you talking about? All
Tetanus,
vaccines.
tetanus.
No.
Tetanus? Do you know that most people, including myself up to not too long ago, thought tetanus, you got tetanus from a rusty nail? You guys remember this? Oh, goodness. Holy cow! That is a big super chat! Thank you so much, Vagine. I don't know where you're getting this dough in India, Vagine, but I appreciate it. I should update her visuals, don't you think? I gotta draw a new Vagine for her own sake. She's been stuck in that pose for 3 years. Snagglebee's $5. I will pay more to stay away from Europe. I have in mind my estate in Jortlandia. Yeah, you should. You should keep your estate in Jortlandia. No time for vacations. I'll pass on this one. Yeah, I have no... I kind of want to go to Greece, but someone even wrote, oh, don't even show Greece. I wanted to go to Greece. I wanted to go to some of these places. I've been to Italy. But, you know, this is what's so sad. Our generation really missed the boat here. It's horrifying to think about. Now, it is luxurious, so I'm not that upset. You know, traveling and seeing other countries is a luxury. But, you know, this view of like, I want to get the treatment. I want to get the Greece experience. I want to get the Italian experience. I want the Japanese. I want to know what, you know, counter to my own culture. I want to experience this. And now you can't. Not that you have any reason to go to France, but if you went to France and you were like, oh, boo, oui, oh, monsieur, jambon, oui, oui. Well, I want to smell of cheese. You can't even do that. You can't even go to France and dislike France's culture. You can't. You're going to go to Paris, and even if you came to the conclusion these people are a bunch of you can't even do that because now you're judging an imported culture. How did this happen? It's this view of democracy and liberty and everyone deserves to live anywhere they want. And that's this is the global liberation. The global liberation is that a nation no longer exists as an entity. Liberation is the dissolving of identity. Isn't that the case? Don't you see this philosophical through line? Even at the individual level, liberation is the denial of your identity over time. You could be anything. You can be a they, them, Zer. You can be an it. You can transmutate into a machine. You can be an elephant. You could be a doggy. You could be a kangaroo. You could be a marsupial. You could be a Tasmanian tiger, which is also a marsupial. And then at the level of country, it's the same thing, nation. Well, there's no such thing as an identity. It's just the dissolving of identity. So liberating. Yeah, it's not, though. It is so destructive to every country that subjects itself to it. It's so destructive. The long-term effects of not knowing what you are, not knowing who you are, not knowing why you are. I mean, we're at the late stages of secular philosophy, liberal philosophy, classical liberal philosophy. I mean, there's going to be like in the next like couple decades, there's only going to be a handful of countries that you could actually look to and say, I want to know what it's like there. How do they live? Because everywhere else is going to look the same. There's going to be McDonald's arches. BlackRock is going to own a bunch of things. Everything's going to be modern consumerism based on democratic values, individualism, the rational human, the Homo economicus, wandering the streets, determining from his reasoning what shirt he should buy. That's it. That's the extent of the cultural identity. And I've made this point before. I don't know what this has to do with Brian Callen, but it's an important tangent. Is that if you remove ethnic, cultural, traditional identity from a group, from a nation, from a society, the only thing that's unifying, and the West is a perfect example of this, the only unifying identity that they have is liberty and consumerism. Think about it. What binds a nation together if their traditional and ethnic and historical identity is no longer or non-existent? What is the unifying thing? Well, you get a Ben Shapiro position. The unifying thing is the diversity itself, is that you have a liberty to be whatever you want and whoever you want in a free society. Yeah, liberalism. That's liberalism. Isn't that a bit ironic coming from Mr. Shapiro? That the unifying value is Enlightenment principles, individualism, and liberty itself, above all. And then you're like, and then he writes a book, 7 Ways to Destroy Your Country, the U.S. Oh, did you include just general classical liberalism? Did you include that perhaps the American project? Have you ever considered that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is based on something flawed and non-exhaustive? Have you ever considered that, Ben Shapiro? No. Oi! Oh, goody. Does this mean I can meet Christological? Yeah, someday you can. No one realizes that modern day debate, I'm actually going to show up as Christological, so I probably should. I should at least bring the teeth and the wig and the open shirt so that maybe at the party, you know what I mean? Maybe at one of the parties I can be Christological. Yes, I am Hushed Tones on Twitter too. I'll resend the video. The guy who plays the white Hebrew Israelite is a huge fan of yours. That's awesome. I love to see that stuff, by the way. I love to see Orthodox specifically taking a more comedic cultural approach, because there's enough of debating, honestly. You know, I don't even mean get rid of that. You know, I think that's important. But to show the world that Orthodox people online aren't just debaters and this type of thing. You know, we're normal people. We're flawed. We're silly. We have dumb takes. We're dorks. You know, we're not just these militant debaters. Anyway, I don't even know why I moved over to that, but I'm glad I did.
No,
go down the road we're
You
on?
need to bail on the tetanus thing, because Suzanne.
Oh, yeah. I asked you guys, remember tetanus? Like people, your association of tetanus, tell me in the chat if this is the case. Rusty nail. Well, I was like looking into this, and I was like, I just ran with that my whole life. Oh, oh no, goodness, my kid stepped on a rusty nail. I better inject them with something immediately. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a second. Tetanus, it has nothing to do with rust itself or a nail itself. It's a specific kind of bacteria that could be anywhere. It could be just like a type of fecal matter on the ground. It could be there could be any reason and methodology for your body to somehow be exposed to this bacteria. And we always thought stepping on a rusty nail is like the pinnacle example where it's like, that's it. But it's not actually has anything to do with rust or any in the object itself. It's just that there could be conditions where this particular bacteria could thrive more than others. And, that just happens to be an example. But even said, the rarity of it existing in that place, is high. It's not likely. It's not even likely. You know what I mean? But we have this view in our head, like Brian Callen's view is like, oh my gosh. No, dude. That's mostly a hygiene and the lack of what would you call it? Mitigation. There's a lack of mitigation historically.
Educate his ass. Suzanne Humphreys explained tetanus.
She's not a vaccinologist. I know that woman. What are you talking about? So you're saying we shouldn't...
Yeah, the work is like, the workplace. Oh, you got cut on metal? Oh my gosh, we better rush you to get a jibby jab. What? Why? What are you talking about?
Medical doctor that absolutely understands tetanus. She said tetanus, all you have to do is keep the wound open and clean it.
Oh, that's such bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
God,
it's not bullshit. Do you know how many people die of tetanus every year? Very few.
What about polio? Okay, so let me ask you a question, Mr. Joe Rogan, Mr. Scientist. Are you saying...
It's not a scientist, you prick. Gosh.
We shouldn't
Don't do that. Don't call me Mr. Scientist. I'll start mocking you, and it's so much easier to mock you.
So are we not... So you don't believe in vaccines? You don't think we should have vaccines?
What is this reasoning? He just said something very specific about tetanus, dude. And this dude with his cigars all, so wait, so you don't believe in space? So, okay, so you don't believe in space now. What do you mean believe in jibby jabs? What do you mean believe in them? Which ones? What are we talking about? Like there's a universal thing now? Like, oh, by the way, they're not even all the same. There's a whole slew of traditional ones that come from cow pus. And then there's this new iteration that's a new technology that we're still pondering what the hell it is. So you don't believe in you don't believe in them? I've got a cigar.
It's not that I don't believe in vaccines.
Kids
I don't think you should give
okay, Mr. Flat Earther.
a kid a Hep B vaccine when they're a baby.
Different subject.
I don't know.
What do you mean different subject? What are you talking about, Brian? What the heck are you saying, bro? What the heck is this? What the heck is this? Jason Cassell, $10, thank you. What's funny is if you step on a rusty nail, you have a less than 1% chance of getting a tetanus. It's way more likely from dog bite. Yeah, dog bites and other, places that consistently over time inhabit or host, I should say, a particular type of bacteria. Dogs, you get bit. You're more likely to get a bacterial infection that's serious from getting bitten by a seal than stepping on a nail. But they're like, oh my gosh, your baby. We should probably inject him with something. When is my baby? What? By the way, also, if your child was exposed to said thing, the ability to counter that through other medical techniques and methodologies is just as available to you. Do you understand this? Like they're like, oh, we might as well just add it to the schedule of your baby getting 82 jibby jabs in between birth and 5 years old or something like this. And half of the things or more have the symptoms or the disease they're saying, right, have some sort of medical treatment anyway. It's insane, dude.
MMA vaccine is absolutely connected to a host of serious, debilitating fucking problems that kids have gotten from them. There's a lot of problems because they don't test vaccines in a double-blind, placebo-controlled setting.
Hold it.
They test them against other vaccines. You know that, right?
Yes, I do. Excuse me. Let me just say something.
Well, let me just say something. I don't think anyone should be allowed to smoke cigars. And I was just at like a fun Orthodox men's evening where people were smoking cigars. I actually smoked a fancy pipe. Pipes, I think, are fine. I'm starting to really push back on cigars now. I feel like appropriation is real. You know what I mean? Like you can't be a masculine dude, hold a cigar, and be defending so vehemently. Can't believe I pronounced that word. Unbelievable. Get some W's in the chat. There's two words that are pretty much impossible for me to pronounce. It's vehemently and unfathomable. Jules, can you bring up the word vehemently with the robot sounding it out, please? Yeah, he shouldn't be allowed to smoke a cigar. We need to stomp this out. He needs to put that out immediately. I want to hit him with one of those candle snuffers. It should come down from the top. Joe Rogan should have a mechanism that drops down when people get bitchy like this, and it manually puts out their cigar with one of those candle snuffer bells.
Yes, you're right. You can make the argument for Hep B. Here's why. Because the chances of a child coming in contact with the kind of activity that causes Hep B is different. So now you say,
Sexually transmitted disease and needles.
So now you say this. That chance is zero. The chance for vaccine injury with the Hep B is not zero, is non-zero. Okay, so I understand that math. Okay, what I'm trying to say to you is that there are certain diseases. Pick up a history book.
Let me guess. He's going to say polio.
Smallpox, diphtheria, mumps.
Have you ever looked at
tetanus, polio, paralytic disease?
So is Andrew debating OB? Yeah, Wednesday on iHypocrite. So that should be 4 hours of pure entertainment. I commented it on the beginning of the channel. Austin Sims, what are we talking about, Austin? Yeah, he's talking about generally, Austin, jibby jabs. And they're trying to get into more granular approach to examining, is there anything ultimately that justifies any mandatory jibby jab versus what the other options would be? Obviously, well, you're over here, so obviously you're going to get the latter position, which is no. Most of these things, like, you can't even argue they, quote, saved lives. You just have to assume that. There's no science that determines that. It's just an assumption. It's an assumption that you say, like, oh, as a correlative position, it just so happens that the introduction of jibby jabs, traditional ones, cowpuss, just so happens to be the case that the introduction of those things coincided with the introduction and the development of other formats of mitigation of diseases, hygiene and sanitation and the rest, antibacterial. A lot of the death and the disease and the things that you're pointing to in the past that you're like, oh, pick up a history book, look how awful it was. Well, you still need to demonstrate, in contrast to these other ways of handling disease and other things, you have to separate that out from a jibby jab and say, no, that's the jibby jab that did it. No, well, not really. I mean, infant mortality is a perfect example. People try to smuggle infant mortality decrease rates and try to smuggle that in chronologically with the advent of jibby jabs, and they're like, look. Like, what do you mean, look? There's no correlation. There's no causal relationship between jibby jabs and the decreased infant mortality rates.
Have you ever polio? Please stop.
Yes. No, I won't. I know you think it's just. I've heard Susan Humphreys.
This is a long conversation that we're not going to have on this podcast because I'm going to get angry because I've researched this for years.
Right.
Let's just.
Speaking of, remember the oral jibby jab that they gave? What was it in some Africa? Was it Africa? I think it was Africa, Sudan maybe or something. They introduced an edible one, an oral one, and it caused all these problems. It actually introduced the thing that they were saying they were healing. And it was like everyone's hush about that, right? They're like, oh no, yeah, that happens sometimes. Look away, look away.
But you're not a scientist.
I don't have to be.
You're not a scientist. Then you're not either. So why are you talking? I love this approach. You're not a scientist. Okay, so this is what's so annoying about Bryan Callen and these types of people who think like this. They accuse you of not reading into the data, right? They're like, oh, have you looked into the data? I mean, why don't you research before you talk? Then you research the data, and then they blame you for researching the data and talking on it because you're not a scientist. So it's like, listen, don't speak on this matter until you look at, do some research. Why don't you do some research? And then they're like, you can't do research. You're not allowed to. As it turns out, you can only research things if you're also a scientist.
Be a scientist to know that.
Yes, you do.
No, Brian, shut the fuck up. I don't have to be a scientist
to
read.
Owned. Wrecked. Oh, damn. Oh, you got martyred. You got martyred, Brian. Austin Sims says, I researched the data and found that multiple diseases have pretty much vanished thanks to... No, that doesn't follow. That's an interpretation, Austin Sims. Tell me one thing, right, that vanished. And by the way, how would you determine it wouldn't have vanished without it? Tell me how you falsify your claim, Austin Sims. You can't. You can't, Austin. You're just another scientismo fanboy simping out on jibby jabs when you got nothing but an assertion, bro. I researched the data and found multiple diseases that pretty much vanished thanks to... No, that's a causal, not a correlative. If you're doing a correlative analysis, you're going to have to separate the cause. I don't know if you know science, right? Because none of you guys know science. Apparently, the creation tard knows science better than you guys. Are you aware that you can't just look at correlation of data to develop cause? Are you aware of the scientific methodology, Austin Sims? Do you even know what you're talking about? You don't. You're a blind NPC scientismo fanboy. Did you know immunity in your nose, mouth, throat, mucal immunity is completely different than blood immunity? These jabbies would never have worked. It's a clown show. Yeah, they don't like this idea of humans, even though it's based on their evolutionary narrative, that humans have habitually, consistently, for more time than not, from their view, have dominated so-called contagions and other things. That the real things that they're actually arguing for science about, medical advantage, is how to treat things, how to avoid bacterial or treat bacterial infections, how to increase sanitation, how to increase hygiene, how to keep shit separate than your food, which wasn't always available, refrigerating things, keeping things fresh for a longer period of time, right? How to clean food properly. I mean, all of these things are definitely engineering, technological, and medical feats. We don't deny them. But the moment you try to give jibby jabs some sort of false, fake valor, that's what it is. It's a fake valor that they give the jibby jabs. Jason Cassell, $10. Thank you. Most virus and bacteria infections were reduced by eliminating the good hygiene. Yeah. Other Kyle, $5. The smartest thing Candace Owens ever said was that Big Pharma took credit for what clean running water. Absolutely. And you watch them. Watch these guys simp in the chat, right? Watch. Particularly Austin Sims. I'm trying to track his comments in particular because he's the current speaking rep for that side of things. Austin says he recognized that cowpox and smallpox are very similar and learned to use former and inoculation against the latter, and you don't have to worry about getting smallpox. Well, no, that you're assuming that. You're assuming the jibby jab that he developed is the thing that actually made that go away. How did you determine that, Austin? Notice how you can't tell me how you determined that? The thing in question, Austin Sims thinks he's smart by asserting the claim again. Are you aware that asserting the claim and justifying the claim are two different statements? No? I mean, I'm used to this at this point. How did you determine X? Well, if I just assert X in a different way, then I think I'm good. No. No, that's not how that works. Smartest thing Candace Owens ever... Okay, saw that already. Raw milk is based. Brady Harvey, $5. Thank you so much. How could you deny evolution when India is behind hundreds of years in hygiene? That's funny. That's funny.
Research to understand.
He used the method where he would scrape cowpox pus and other injected into... Yeah, I know what he did, dude. I know what he did. He took cow pus, he scraped some, he made some inoculation, and he injected people with it, right? Okay? So what you're saying is that when people are exposed to things, they develop a reaction to it, right? Is that what you're saying? Great. We already did that. We already did that.
And that they were spraying DDT all over the fucking country when everybody was getting polio. Do you know that?
They would get cowpox, but they would never get small. Who can? And if it's okay, JB, I'm in Discord and have a few minutes to talk about a roto-virus scam and the history of a story about Callan. Interesting. Yeah. We'll move to that. I have a principle I follow, Sean, that I reached my 50 goal before I even consider opening to Discord. Why, Sean? For some odd reason, Discord just annihilates the life of my stream. So, inoculation works, and it eradicated smallpox. That's a claim, Austin. Are you on repeat? Are you on some sort of repeat? Repeat my assertion. Stop repeating the assertion, Austin, and tell me how you determined that it eradicated. Okay? Tell me. How did you determine it? You need a falsification method. Do you understand? Do you know what that means? I thought you were into science, bro. What happened? What happened to your science, bro?
Yes,
you know
I do.
the first
Yes, I
instances
do.
of polio, they happened in rural communities where they were all farmland and agriculture, and then cows were getting them, and horses were getting them, and dogs were getting them.
Let me make a statement.
They
Let me
were
ask you,
calling it paralytic polio.
do you agree with the following statement? It's not just...
I'm not gonna do this with you,
but it's
Brian.
not just about...
I brought up
It's not
vaccines,
just
so that'd
about...
be a
Hold
fun
on,
debate.
hold on. Joe.
No,
it's
Brian,
not
I don't want to
ju-
do this with
But
you.
it's
I
not
don't wanna
just
do this.
about...
We're in
is
the
it-
middle of a fight companion.
All right.
It's annoying.
All right, but it's like... yeah. Being
See,
anti-vax.
but
Being
be-
anti-vax
No
is
one's
irresponsible.
anti-vax,
It's not
Brian.
anti-vax. Questioning why there's so many, though.
My kids are all vaccinated. And they're vaccinated, but they went on a delayed schedule. They delayed
So did mine.
schedule.
That the jibby jabs eradicated the diseases.
So did
are
mine.
not.
So did
You're
mine.
not?
Yeah, they're not. No.
Yeah, good for you. I don't think you need to.
No, they're healthy as fuck.
Yeah.
Between the two of them.
What about Discord calls with grift breaks? Well, that it's just, yeah, I can't use Andrew as an example. He's an anomaly. Generally, a break that allows people to talk on Discord, and it just kills the entire vibe. People literally stop thinking about supporting the stream. It cancels any sort of association to support for some weird reason. Justin keeps, because it eradicated. How? Because it eradicated. How did you determine that? Because it did. Because it did it. I'm Austin Sims. I'm a professional repeater of assertions. Because it did it. It did it because it did it.
I'm gonna have 12 touchdowns this week.
Be costing your kids 66 plus years of good health. What? You're just asserting the thing again, dude.
Jimbob, are you aware that the 1899 Merck Medical Manual, they now a pharma company, has dozens of pages listing practical effects, both preventative and prophylactic, of pure gum spirits, aka turpentine. After the advent of petroleum-based medicine, it was banned for use in all medicine with one exception, Vicks Vapor Rub. That's why it works so well.
Interesting, Vagine. Very interesting.
2 home runs.
Look it up. Look at the chart. Oh, okay. So charts now tell you causal explanations. This is what's wrong with the modern science. They think modeling and statistics develops causal theories. Austin Sims is a product of this cult. Charts, by that method, Austin Sims, if you're just going to use correlation, right, then you would agree that the correlation between the introduction of the most recent jibby jab in the last 5 years correlates with a massive spike in all sorts of new diseases, fast-growing cancers, heart problems in demographics that previous to the introduction of this jibby jab, Austin Sims, didn't exist. And then he's like, no, that's different. That's different, though. I'm going to use my reasoning for the past of correlative analysis in modeling, but then I'm not going to use it presently because it goes against the narrative. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop.
I think the problem is that the pharmaceutical drug companies have an exemption.
Look at what study. Dude, I'm not interested in studies. I'm interested in experiments, Austin Sims. That's what makes me a real scientist and you a fake one. Look at the things. Look at studies. Look at the studies. Studies need interpretation, Austin Sims. I want a falsifiable methodology, sir, for your claims.
Because of what they did in the 1980s with Reagan, where they allowed them to never worry about being sued. And that's when they ramped up the fucking schedule. And that's also the...
Grifty B, $10. Here's some money, Jim Baby. Thank you so much. Brings us up to $441.13. We're almost there. We're almost at the Nashville Support Fund being complete. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Every little bit helps, and they get added. So all of your generous Bob chats, which are remove YouTube from taking your money, Bob chats will be added to the main goal, just so you know.
The correlation, when you look at all the fucking host of all sorts of diseases and issues,
Just
that
look
start
at
happening in kids.
autism. It's
How many different injections did Austin Sims get? I'm just horrified to even imagine it. I'm just like horrified that these people really believe the jibby jabs are what the main variable for the decrease of all sorts of horrific human conditions are. They really think, even though how many people, including myself, live a healthy, if not healthier life, right? Let's do the correlative analysis between people who have gotten all 87 scheduled jibby jabs against other people who haven't. Why is it that you ignore that correlative analysis, Austin Sims? Isn't that weird that you do that? By the way, when you inject someone with anything and you're calling it some sort of cause of immunity, right? How do you track that, Austin? How do you track all the people that got a jibby jab and determine that it was because of the jibby jab that they didn't experience XYZ symptoms or got a, quote, what you call a disease or anything like this? Haven't you learned anything, Austin Sims? Do you remember 5 years ago when you were promised that if you got a jibby jab, it would stop X from entering your body or having this effect on you? Remember that? And that changed within a year. And then you're repeating that for a year, and then you're told by your gods that that's actually not the case. Repeat this now, right? And you're up to like 6 jibby jabs for something myself and everyone else. You just power through it. Totally fine. No heart issues because of it. No risks. No immune problems. Austin Sims still wears the N95 mask. That's hilarious. Oh, he probably had like nine of those with like, the Big Bang graphics on the mask, like a space mask.
Autism is just one. There's a lot of other autoimmune issues. There's a lot of like serious problems.
I think there are 3 things that have pushed us beyond our biology, and the reason we don't have a lot of children dying: nutrition, sanitation, and vaccines. And I think
No. Don't say that, dude. You put down that cigar, bro. No. Sanitation, sanitation, hygiene, and medical mitigation. Like actual something happens and you have the ability to counter what's happening in real time. Right? Not jibby jabs. He just sneaks that in.
I think anybody who says otherwise is, I think it's crazy.
But you can't say
Oh, it's just crazy. Just call people crazy who disagree with that third variable, Brian. Nice job, bro. You're really doing it, buddy. You're really doing it.
all vaccines.
That's the thing, is like you could take, notice how you can take the two other things, hygiene, sanitation. Vagine has something to say.
CDC lists excipients in jabs such as formaldehyde, aborted fetal tissue as growth medium, dog kidney, same, aluminum, polysorbate, antibiotics etc. Jabs are not adequately screened for animal viruses which cause cancer later in life, such as simian viruses linked to the polio jab which caused a rare brain tumor. The government's own studies show disease declined long before approved jab was approved
That's
for
right.
use.
That's right. The trend for diseases that were horrific were declining because of other reasons. What I was about to say with this one is, for the other two, sanitation, hygiene, antibacterial, right? Things that you actually apply after someone has their symptoms and whatever, being able to manage that. Management, right? Those are all, notice that those can all be introduced scientifically and removed scientifically. And yet, the one thing that we ask for in regards to jibby jabs, Austin Sims here and the rest of his cult, including Brian Callen here, they're like, well, no. I understand how you introduce, sanitation methods and hygiene, and you could remove these things and demonstrate immediately the cause of infectious or bacterial infections and other diseases. But when we ask for the same scientific applications, same falsification process for jibby jabs, Austin Sims goes, la, 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 la. No. I don't do science for jibby jabs. They argue science is what gave you all of these hygiene and sanitation engineering mechanisms. Yeah. Cause and effect. Introduce the variable. Remove it. Good. All right. Why don't we do that with jibby jab? Well, no, we don't do that. We just use data for that one. We don't use actual science. Austin Sims says, the study estimates the number of lives saved. Dude, how do you... Are you an actual... The study estimates? I'm sorry, I don't care about estimations. How do you determine the lives that were actually saved? How do you determine that? Hello, do you know what a claim... Austin, are you this dumb? You're making an assertion. I'm asking you, how did you determine the estimations mean anything? So what you're saying is you could just make it up, right? No. Austin Sims, I already answered that. No, you say it again right now, dude. You just claimed that the study estimates how many lives were saved. How do you falsify the study? How do you determine the amount of estimated lives saved is actual, Austin? You can't.
Didn't say all vaccines.
But he's not saying all
very
vaccines.
worried when
But
people
he's not
start
saying all
saying
vaccines.
It sounds like he is.
Brian, you don't know what the fuck I'm saying. You don't.
Well, I know because you're...
They use the presence of pathogens. That doesn't tell me anything, dude. That doesn't even tell me a methodology. Dude, you're so lazy as a thinker. It's pathetic. It's actually sad that people like you exist. They use the presence of pathogens. Okay, that's another science that you're assuming. Can you show me the presence of a pathogen? I already explained it. They use this other thing that's happening that I can't actually tell you.
Maddie was a teen girl in the initial Pfizer COVID poke trial. Within a few days, she became almost completely, and is still, paralyzed and can now only eat through a tube. She was cut loose from the study and Pfizer stated she had only developed gastrointestinal issues.
Austin Sims, I've now explained this 3 times. You didn't explain anything. You don't know the difference between an explanation and an assertion, apparently. By the way, hey, Austin Sims, said pathogen would be in your body if you got it naturally, right? If you were exposed to it naturally? Yes or no? Austin Sims, said pathogen, if that was in your body, that would still be the case if you were exposed to it naturally, right? Yes or no? Simple yes or no, Austin. It's like talking to a potato. It is. They're ruined. Their brains, their souls, their minds, it's withered. Tell me, Austin Sims, answer the question. Isn't it the case from your view that said pathogen, if it was in the body, would also be in the body present if it were in the body naturally, exposed naturally? Yes or no? Watch this. He has to answer the question, though. He won't, though. I get the presence of the pathogen. Yeah, they're going to use, by the way, what's his name's amplification process, right? The technology that the creator of the technology, the actual engineer, warned us before his death of the abuse of this technology. And guess what? Austin Sims would have to use that very methodology. You're amplifying and looking at structural analysis in the body and calling it a this or a that. He warned you against it, bro. He literally is documented warning the society that he's in against the abuse of his own creation. They found carunca in goat's grass in the PCR test. Yeah, the PCR test, dude. I'm telling you. That thing, that technology, I bet going back in time, if the inventor, forgive me, I forgot his name. If the inventor could go back, he probably would not have made it. He probably would not have developed it, knowing how abusive it is. Are there any good Orthodox Bible scholars? Go to your parish and do Bible studies at your parish with your priest. He's not going to answer the question. Austin, I didn't ask about health gains. That's an assertion, bro. I don't care about your assertions. I'm asking you a very simple question, dude. Austin, you can't focus because this will ruin your entire theory. Okay, Austin, focus, bro. Stop avoiding. Focus, Austin. Is it the case that said pathogen being present in a body could be present from natural exposure? Yes or no? He's still rambling, dude. Just copy-pasting chat GPT just ferociously. The measles? Oh, don't get me started on the measles, dude. Unbelievable. Do you even know if measles was rampant? The amount of serious injury or death was something like 1 in 1,000 without any adding anything. He's like, this thing got super rare, you know. Well, that's also something, I'm sorry to say, Austin Sims, is that measles were already on the decline as well. So you're just you're an assertion machine, and you can't answer simple questions. Just more assertions, chat GPT, copy and paste. That's all you get from these people. They're actual robots. They don't think. They just make assertions. The study concludes. Yeah, you're just making more assertions, but you can't answer a simple question, Austin. Stop populating the chat with copy and paste, dude, or you're going to get banned. Do you understand? Answer my question, Austin Sims, directly, or you get banned. Stop spamming, you coward. Austin, focus. Anyone could copy and paste chat GPT or conclusions from a study. You appealing to a study doesn't tell us cause of anything, okay? We already established this. Now, let's go back to the question, sir. Let's go to the question, Austin, or you get banned. If you can't answer this question, you get banned. How about that? It seems fair. The question is, do I have to put it in all caps for you? Here. The question is, Austin, you said something before about a pathogen being present, right? You're talking about in a body, right? You're talking about a pathogen being present in a body. First of all, you need an adequate methodology to determine X pathogen is, in fact, the pathogen and not just something that looks like a pathogen. I'm not even going to grant you that, though. I really shouldn't, but I'll grant it to you. Let's say you use the methodology of PCR amplification to determine said pathogen is in the body. The question still stands, Austin. Now focus. See if you can focus, buddy. Isn't it the case that if the pathogen was in the body, that it could be in the body through natural means, right? Yes? Yes? Where did you get your degree in epidemiology? Okay, you're not going to answer the questions. I'm not going to engage with you if you don't engage with me. I ask you a simple question. You ask me, do I have a degree? No. Do you? Cool. So we both shouldn't be talking? Awesome. Stop talking then. I just ask you a simple question, Austin. You're taking an example and you're saying, oh, this body, this person has in their body a pathogen, right? What was, if the question is in your body, what now? Oh my gosh, dude. It's like they are retarded. It's like talking to actually physically, actually retarded people. Austin Sims not a robot. I mean, he's a type of robot. He's like metaphorically a robot. It's really simple, dude. It's a simple line of reasoning here. It's like, this shouldn't be so hard, dude. It's so frustrating. It's like bringing my kid to the dentist. You're not a chef, stop cooking. You're not an English teacher, stop writing. Couldn't hear you? What do you mean you couldn't hear me? If someone has a, quote, pathogen, Austin Sims, in their body, right? I said, how did you determine that the introduction of a jibby jab is what saved lives? You said, they have a pathogen in their body. Cool. How did you determine that the ones who got jibby jabbed having the pathogen in their body and the ones who didn't and still survived, how did you determine which life was saved? Which life was saved? How did you determine the lives saved? If simultaneously you have two groups of people, one that isn't dead, same pathogen, and one isn't dead, same pathogen, but had a jibby jab. How did you determine, dude? You don't even know the question, dude. You don't even know what the question is.
You don't want to talk about it?
Brad, I don't want to talk about it in the middle of the podcast because it'll completely derail the podcast. And I'll start showing you statistics. If you look at when people stop getting all of these diseases and then when the introduction of vaccines happen, it's at the end, after the diseases have already gone through the population. Most of those diseases were eradicated by sanitation and nutrition.
Yes.
There was a huge problem in this country. People were living in fucking squalor.
I agree.
Yeah, you can get a ton of different bacterial infections, and if they reach the bloodstream, that can affect your brain. That could affect your entire system. It can affect certain areas. Once you counter that with these other methods, as Joe Rogan is saying were introduced at the same time, then you can't. You're going to have to do a further examination and experimentation. You can't just look at data, dude. Data and studies are not scientific methods. Do you understand this, Austin Sims? Do you know the difference between a model and an experiment? Do you know in order to establish a theory about a causal explanation, in this case jibby jabs and saving lives or not, you're going to have to introduce the thing, remove the thing, and you're going to have to separate that from people like me who are still alive and healthy. there's a ton of people who don't have a jibby jab, Austin. They seem, what happened? How did you determine their lives were saved?
But there's still pathogens that are very dangerous.
Sure there are. So the problem is that these pharmaceutical drug companies are fucking insanely, entirely corrupt. They have been corrupt for a long fucking time, and there's a revolving door between the
What's up, Provo?
FDA and these pharmaceutical drug corporations. They go from the FDA into these...
Did Austin leave? Well, he was never here.
Positions, they have this golden parachute, and then they ramp up the fucking schedule every year, and it's not about public health. None of it is about looking out for you. All of it is about making money. That's the problem.
Who wants to do some smelling salts?
Okai's good. This guy's good.
Okay.
Who wants to do some smelling salts?
Chuck one over here, Jamie. We got some? Here we go.
Austin, TJ says, gets the jab and the pathogen. Guy B doesn't get the jab and gets the pathogen. Both survive. That's as simple as TJ. Thank you. It's really that simple, Austin. Do you understand how simple it actually is? I'll read it again. Guy A gets the jibby jab and the pathogen. Guy B doesn't get the jab and gets the pathogen. Both survive. How do you determine one saved the life of the other? I mean, you know what I mean? Hello? This isn't that hard. Unresed $5 adds to the goal. We're now at 35, y'all. We got a whole hour and 11 minutes. We don't need to take all that time. 15 more people to go. Can we all agree that the appeal to the authority represents a uniquely despicable form of servile behavior? Yeah. And appealing to an authority itself isn't bad. It's just that this blind, constant appeal to this weird lab coat priesthood is so bizarre, man. TJ, okay, dude, just to show how dense Austin is, his answer to TJ, just so you guys understand how these people think. Okay, watch this. TJ asks the question, Guy A has pathogen and jibby jab, survives. Guy B has pathogen, no jibby jab, survives. How do you determine what you're claiming, right? He says, look at the statistics. Dude, if the statistics, TJ gave you the statistic. We're already looking at the statistic, you dummy. The statistic is Group A has jibby jab and pathogen. Group B doesn't have jibby jab and pathogen. They both survive. They're both fine. That's the statistic, Austin. You look at the statistic. That's the statistic, dummy. You look at things. This is exactly what Planet Peterson said, exactly in the debate, dude, you guys. It's like, it's so frustrating.